You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the July 5th, 2023 meeting of the Michigan City Common Council. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our July 5th, 2023 meeting of the Michigan City Common Council. Really quick, just make sure you silence all electronic devices, and we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag and the silent prayer. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Nyla, on the roll call, please.
Mr. Dabney,
Present.
Mr. Fitzpatrick,
Present.
Mr. Matt, Ms. Deitch,
Present.
Mr. Don Prespolinski,
Present.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski,
Present.
Mr. Simmons,
Present.
Ms. Jagus,
Present.
and Ms. Tillman.
Present.
We have 8 present and 1 absent.
And I did get a message from Councilman Mack notifying me that he would not be present tonight. So approval of the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Support.
We have a motion by Councilman Prespolinski and seconded by Councilwoman Tillman. Ms. Nyla, on the vote, please.
Ms. Deitch,
Aye.
Mr. Don Prespolinski,
Aye.
Mr. Simmons,
Aye.
Ms. Jagus,
Aye.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski,
Aye.
Ms. Tillman,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
and Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Aye.
We have 8 in favor and no one opposed.
Thank you, Ms. Nyla. Reports of standing committees. Councilman Dabney. Oh, my bad. No problem. Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Michigan City Finance Committee meeting did not meet on today due to that there was no claims to report. However, we do have the City of Michigan City Riverboat Fund Statement of Cash Position, date range, January 1st, 2023 through July 5th, 2023. Unexpended balance, $1,593,445.33.
Thank you, Councilwoman. On the claims docket, we have 0 claims. Moving on, reports of boards and commissions. Reports of special or select committees. Reports from mayor or other city officers and departments. And we have Mrs. Heather Stevens from Port County Circuit Clerk.
Yes, that's loud. I'm loud. Here, is that better? I came tonight to talk to you about moving LaPorte County to a vote center county rather than our traditional precinct-based county. I did send Drew at Alco an email today with a map that you could kind of zoom in and out of. And he made this beautiful PowerPoint presentation in like 10 minutes. So that was pretty cool. We are required, if we're moving to vote centers, LaPorte County is required to have a total of 8 vote centers within the entire county. To me, that's reckless. It's going to decrease voter turnout. It's going to make it more inconvenient to vote. So what we've decided is we're going to start with no fewer than 38 vote centers, and we're going to have 8 in Michigan City alone. So we felt like by broadening everything and having really probably more than what we need, I'd rather have too many than too few. So I really just came to kind of get some feedback, hear any questions, concerns, positive, negative. Either way, we want to hear it.
Councilwoman Tillman.
what would be the reason or why now for the voting centers?
Vote centers have been talked about in LaPorte County for, I would say, a good 10 years. The biggest reason that we hadn't gone to vote centers was because of our poll pads. We didn't have the electronic poll books that we do now. So that was the main reason that we could not do this before. The county was not, it didn't sound like they were going to invest the money to obtain those electronic poll books. We had the giant paper poll books that everyone had to sign. In order to become a vote center county, you have to have every ballot at every location. So you can't check, it would not be feasible to print a paper poll book with every voter in the county and send it to every vote center. That would just be an enormous amount of paper and it just wouldn't work.
And would you be able to provide us with the current 8 centers for Michigan City, where those would be located?
Yes, they're on the screen. So, and right now, this is simply proposed. Nothing is set in stone. The county election board can make changes to this. But we're going to make it unanimous. We're not, I don't want to cut anything that shouldn't be cut, and I didn't want to add anything that shouldn't be added. So for right now, we are looking at the Grace Learning Center on 8th Street, the IBEW Community Center on 8th Street, Greater Powerhouse Church of God on Woodland Ave, Michigan City Fire Training Center on Michigan Boulevard, the Arise and Shine Food and Outreach Center on Garfield Street, and that has been, it's changed hands, so that does have a new name. And we'll make sure it's corrected. The Fish and Game Club on Michigan Boulevard, the Apostolic Lighthouse Church on Earl Road, Bay City Assembly on South Woodland Ave, the American Legion, Post 37 on Highway 20, Southwind Emmanuel Church on Southwind Drive, Cool Spring Volunteer Fire Department on 400 North, and we have nearby, we have Long Beach Community Center and Michiana Shores Fire Department. We also have, and I do believe it states in the plan that we do have a mobile voting unit, because the one thing that we've seen, and I know that Drew has a map of just Michigan City. The one concern that I would have, I want something more right in the middle of Michigan City, just something easy access. We have noticed there's not a lot of residential buildings in that area, but it would still be nice if someone's just going out to get gas, get groceries, whatever, just a nice convenient location. So we're looking for that, and we're looking to see if we can use the mobile voting unit. As a precinct-based county, we cannot use that on election day. So I don't know if once we change to vote centers, if we can. So either way, we have some options and we're not done. This is phase 1.
Councilwoman Deitch.
So was this done mostly geographically? Because it seems like too that we removed all the schools out of the equation. So this is geographic, but some of these are low voter turnout locations that
Correct.
people don't go to anyway. And so I guess that was my question. Was it just based on geography and not turnout, or?
It was a little bit of both. Number one was it was time to get out of the schools. The schools did not want us there. We don't want to be there. And this was the only way to remove all of the voting from all Michigan City schools. So that was our number one goal. And when I say I did have an informal committee who met. This was a mix of Democrat, Republican, Independent. I think we had we may have had a Libertarian, I'm not quite sure. I have worked with both party chairs. I've worked with the NAACP. I've worked with the League of Women Voters. And while that committee didn't make decisions, we were able to get input from everybody.
So my second question is, so 38, but how is this going to work between municipal versus county? Because I wouldn't believe you would have these all open during the municipal elections.
Correct. And that is also within the vote center plan. And it will specify throughout the plan that during municipal years, you know, not every location is going to be needed. It would just be those within the municipalities with elections.
Okay, so all these ones you have listed there on the county, but still have a Michigan City address will not be open.
Correct.
Okay, so it'll just be the first set, the 8 in your report.
Yes.
Okay. That's all I had.
Councilwoman Jigus.
Yes, hi. My understanding is that anyone can vote in any of the centers. Is that correct?
That
Is
is
that true for
correct.
early voting as well? Will they be open as much as the early voting was open before?
So early voting is a little bit different. Early voting, all of these locations will not be open. This is on election day. And what it will mean, so we do have early voting in Michigan City, and LaPorte. And then for a countywide election, we also have Cool Spring, and there's one in South County.
So just one in each city
Yes,
for early voting?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all we've had traditionally, and
Right.
it has not been busy. Yeah. But yes, the answer to your question is yes. On election day, any voter can vote at any location. Sean works in LaPorte. Maybe he doesn't have time to get back to his precinct to vote. He can vote at any location on his way.
I got one question real quick. So with the locations not being all used for every election cycle, how are you gonna notify the public that certain ones are gonna be open during certain elections and not open during certain elections, and which ones are designated for the primaries? I mean, not the primaries, for the early voting, so people aren't confused, because like right now, I'm assuming that's why you're on this tour, so you can notify everybody that, you know, your normal voting place is not gonna be existing for everyone. Some people, it's still, you know, nothing changes because the locations are still being used for vote centers, but with some of those variants, how do you plan on getting the word out, or when people arrive at?
So that's it's always tricky. So every election, especially a municipal election, you're gonna have people that don't live within the city limits that are gonna show up to vote. And we do have to turn them away, because if they don't pay city taxes, they don't vote in city elections. And that's the best way that I can explain it to them. They still don't like it, but sorry. So however, this year they will receive a postcard telling them the centers that they can go to, and we're gonna do the same thing next year. So where we are adding a little bit of cost to all this, we'll save it later on.
Councilwoman Philby?
Thank you, Mr. President. Similar to the president's question, so is this something that we're anticipating being implemented for the general this year?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
yes. I would state that I'm gonna work with the schools. I wanna go put up, some kind of sign that says, all right, that this is no longer a polling location. However, you can go to any of these locations to vote.
Councilman President?
I got many concerns because you're here tonight, and I thought I read on this document, it's already been passed by the election board, correct?
Correct.
On June 16th of this year, 2023, and you're making a presentation now. So my concerns are these. I looked over the list and I don't see a lot of activity within some of the neighborhoods, and they're like outlying locations. They're good for some areas, but like for the center of town, which I represent, I don't see really I don't see a lot of opportunity.
And I understand that
And
concern.
Let me finish, please. And that, you can send out postcards and other things, but the real thing is that a lot of people we already have a low turnout already. And I think that you're going about this too fast, that it should be staged in. That's my opinion. And I think that with the problems we do have in our elections right now, with the percentage of voting, that people are going to say, that's too far out of my way. And I'm not saying that, okay, if you want to vote, you should make every effort. Well, I understand that, but this changes the whole dynamics of the process, these vote centers. And I don't know how well older people are going to adapt to that and getting out of their neighborhoods. So, I mean, my big concern is you already passed it and now you're here and we're moving into the fall election, and you said you're going to implement it for this fall election, correct?
That's correct. However, this is not finished. This is not finished. So yes, this has passed unanimously through the election board. It has been to the county council where it received a unanimous vote. I have done one public hearing. I'm actually doing one in Michigan City. I'm gonna have to find you the date, and I will. I think it's the 20th of July, 20th or 21st. So I will find that for you. I'm working with Alco TV. I am working with WFM, WIMS, WCOE. I am working with, Stan Maddox has reached out, everybody. We are publishing in the paper, and I do understand that change is hard. This is not something that has been rushed into. It's been discussed for 10 years. I've been working on it personally for 3. So this has not been rushed.
Oh, okay. It may have not been rushed on your perspective, but in the perspective of the voters, that I think you're rushing into it. But I just want to read the last sentence of this resolution to the board. This resolution shall take effect immediately and may only be rescinded by a unanimous vote of the entire membership of the LaPorte County Election Board. So I don't know what kind of input we're supposed to make, and you can have your hearing. I don't see how we're going to have any real input into this document. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Question, Heather.
Sure.
So how many other counties in the state have gone to voting centers?
Indiana has 92 counties. 60 of them are now vote center counties. We should have been a vote center county 10 years ago. We're huge. We are the second largest in the state of Indiana. This should have been done well before I got to town.
Okay. And in those counties, do you have any information that the voting percentages have gone up? Or
Yes.
the voting percentages have gone down?
I have not seen any data whatsoever that shows an irregular decrease. Obviously, the municipal elections tend to be, a little bit smaller than your presidential, and your midterm elections dip down again. But there is no indication that the move to vote centers decreases voter turnout. 0.
And just real quick, in reference to what Councilman Preselinski, Paul Preselinski was saying, the resolution passed. You're basically here for like an FYI type of thing, just to
Yeah.
kind of inform the public. This is inputs.
This is basically, I want you guys to know, because you guys are out talking to the public. And again, it's all about getting the word out. That's the best thing that we can do. That's how we make sure that this change is successful, is by working together and talking and talking and talking. So my whole July, I'm talking. So
Councilwoman Deitch.
So how many physical locations did we have in Michigan City?
I think I removed 5.
Yeah, so I do have the 5. 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4, 5. So Edgewood, Neiman, Mullen, Elston, and the admin building.
Yep.
So the schools, basically.
Anything owned by the schools.
Okay. So we still have IBE Central, Old Central School.
Yes.
IBEW. Okay.
And that's if they'll have us,
Yes.
again, any one of these can say no. And then the election board will, work hard to fix it. So,
And I
but it will be no fewer,
And I had a conversation with you earlier this year. Last year. Man, that went by
right?
last year about this. And I do, as long as Michigan City had enough, I was in support. I'm more in support of the fact that I can walk into any building. And a lot of times people get discouraged when they walk in and they're in the wrong location. And then they don't go and vote. They leave and they go home.
Yes,
So now they can walk into any location and vote and not be turned away.
correct.
So that was really my whole thing. Michigan City's not that big, but there's a lot of walkable ones. Like Neiman wasn't a walkable location.
Right.
I mean, so Nixon, whatever. But some of these other ones, again, with them being in schools, and I know what happened a couple of years ago, that was a concern. So yeah, I just wanted to know. So we lost 5 basically, and we're keeping 8.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
And then again, real quick, so the state requirement is that you have 8 total.
Total
For the
in
entire-
all of the county. And I just can't picture that. We're just too big geographically. There's no way.
So Councilman President.
Well, I was looking at that map that Drew had up, and I'm still looking for a central location on it. And I didn't see one. I saw it all leaving a big hole in the middle of the city. So I'm voicing my concern about that because there's a lot of voters on the edge, the fringe, in the 5th, in the 6th, in that fringe community in there. So I don't think that was looked at on that's all. That's my opinion, and I'm stating it for the people that I do know. And the 2nd ward is right in the center of Michigan City,
Right.
smack in the middle.
I understand your concern. And like I said, we're still looking for a location. And if we don't find it, we are so blessed that we have that mobile unit that we can use during early voting. So if people want to vote, we're gonna take it to the middle of town. We're gonna find a spot that's gonna let us park. And we're going to allow people to vote that way.
Any other questions for Mr. Stevens? No.
All right, thank you.
Moving on, petitions,
There were no petitions this evening.
communications.
Correspondence was received from the clerk's office on June 16th from Randy McCormick regarding how the Board of Public Works and Safety conducts public comments at their meetings. Correspondence was also received from Rosemary Kleiner regarding 2025 Briar Sub Monopoly Tower. In accordance to ordinance number 4538, the clerk's office received a police report documenting the theft of $655 cash from Greenwood Cemetery. Correspondence was received from the Indiana Department of Transportation regarding the streetscape improvement project along Washington Park Boulevard. And correspondence was also received from the city intern engineer Brad Minnick regarding the 2023 CCMG second cycle 2024 construction season and final CCMG street list. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Now, can you read our first ordinance, resolution? I'm sorry,
Point of order.
Councilman President.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn since we do not have a police officer here. I think that's in order. I believe we're supposed to have somebody here by ordinance. And the motion to adjourn is always in order.
We have a motion to adjourn by Councilman President. Is there a second?
I don't believe you need a second to adjourn. It's up to the chair.
I believe you do.
We do need a second.
Yes.
I'll second that. So we have a motion and a second. Ms. Snyder on the vote.
Mr. Don Prespolinski,
Aye.
Mr. Simmons,
Nay.
Ms. Jagus,
Nay.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski,
Aye.
Ms. Tolman,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Nay.
Mr. Fitzpatrick,
Aye.
and Ms. Deitch.
Nay.
We have 4 in favor and 4 opposed.
Okay, so
In point of order, I'd like to, I don't think it's too late for an officer to get here. I know the mayor just walked up out of here. We should, maybe, Mr.
Then
York, if you could go tell him to have a police officer come.
I asked for a recess for 15 minutes.
we have a recess. Yeah. I'm gonna call this meeting back to order. Councilman Prespolinski.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a point of order that we do not have a police officer here, and I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? We have a motion to adjourn and a second. Ms. Snyder on the vote, please.
Mr. Simmons,
Nay.
Ms. Jagus,
Nay.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski,
Aye.
Ms. Tillman. Aye. Mr. Dabney,
Nay.
Mr. Fitzpatrick,
Aye.
Ms. Deitch,
Aye.
and Mr. Don Prespolinski.
Aye.
We have 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in favor and 3 opposed. Meeting is adjourned.
We are adjourned.